all morning. The Fox 61 Morning News starts now.
Right now at 6, all eyes and eye on Florida and Ian. The latest 5 a.m. advisory has a big storm barreling down. The latest coming up.
And an investigation launched into a tasing incident involving a state trooper. Angela Bavaro is standing by with the very latest.
These eyes have taken away my sense of security, my sense of safety.
Yeah, emotional testimony in the defamation trial of Alex Jones. You're going to hear more from the Sandy Hook families ahead.
First at 6, though, we are tracking Hurricane Ian for you. Good morning. Thanks so much for choosing to be with us here at Fox 61. I'm Erica Arias.
And I'm Tim Lammers. If you have family there on the west coast of Florida, please make sure they have finished their preparations. It's getting to the point where it's almost too late if you're in the path of the storm. Now, this is a live look at Naples, Florida, still a little further south of where they're expecting the brunt of the storm to hit. But because it's coming up from the south, they're probably seeing rainy, gusty conditions already. Doesn't look like anything terrible, but it is very much still the calm before the real big storm comes.
Yeah, we're checking in with meteorologist Matt Scott joining us. Of course, the very latest on the track this morning.
Boy, I tell you what, the 5 a.m. numbers came in, and we weren't looking for a shocking twist to this storm, but the reality is setting in. And as Tim said a moment ago, if you've got family down there that hasn't finished prepping, time's a wasting. You're way past the time of getting out of the state. That's just not going to be an option. And we'll show you more with that with Lauren coming up. All quiet up here, so all eye, and we put the S in there because obviously the eye of the hurricane and all eyes of ours are on Florida and what is going to be just a monster storm. There's a chilled October start in a 7-day. We'll talk about that coming up. A beautiful sunrise up here in Hartford with temperatures ranging from 45 to 56 right now, 56 in New Haven, 50 degrees in the capital city. We're seeing some mid-40s up in the quiet corner down in Norwich, 44 in Meriden, Torrington as well. All right, nothing going on around here. This is a quiet day, a decent amount of sunshine, temperatures just about where they need to be for the season. So let's fly it down south and show you what is a almost perfectly identical storm. Feeder bands yesterday started as across the eastern coast of Florida, and I want to call your attention to a tornado warning that is just around outside between Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach. That would put it, I would say, close to, Coconut Creek area, if you know the Florida East Coast landmarks. But this is where the brunt of the storm is going to be. Likely landfall going to be somewhere between Fort Myers and Tampa. That's Sarasota. Looking for, let's see, Fort Myers. You've got Marco Island and Sanibel Island further down to the south. But even if you are all the way down to the south, obviously as the storm races by, you are going to feel some of the effects. And that's the problem. The storm's still moving at a pretty good clip at 10 miles an hour. But look, between now and 24 hours from now, the storm slowing down considerably. And that is a big problem for flooding and for storm surge across the western coast of Florida. We'll have more on that coming up. 49 degrees, sunny skies as the sun comes up over the next hour for the high schoolers. Partly cloudy, few clouds in there later on with a high temperature in around 70 degrees. So we're just about there for seasonal numbers. More on that coming up. Let's talk about the impacts of the airports here in Connecticut and how obviously they're shut down, those routes between here and Florida. Lauren Zenzi with that.
Yeah, Matt, as of right now, we are seeing widespread cancellations, both at Bradley International, also at Tweed. Avello Airlines also travels to Florida. We are seeing cancellations across the board, pretty much to and from Florida. Now, there is still one flight that is supposed to operate, Spirit Airlines to Fort Lauderdale. That has not been canceled as of right now, but obviously we are continuing to monitor that. So we'll keep you up to date on all things in the sky as all of this morning and the next few days unfold. unfold. Now, on the roads, things are looking good in the Hartford area. Let's bring you to a closer look. We were seeing some heavy delays on the westbound side of I-84, East Hartford into the capital city. That has subsided now that construction is cleared. Eastbound side of I-84, New Britain Ave to the Hartford Tunnel, we're seeing some delay, but overall, no incidents out there to report. As we take a live look out in Wethersfield, you can see lots of headlights on the road for everyone going to work. Good morning, everyone in Wethersfield. 91 north and southbound moving freely. Over in Waterbury, I-84 east and westbound following suit, in and out of the Mixmaster looking good. As we take a live look down in Fairfield, those delays starting to build in the Bridgeport to Fairfield area. As we take a live look out in Westport, we see lots of headlights out on the road, but overall, nothing to complain about. We'll check in again coming up in the next half hour, guys. I'll send things back over to you.
And developing right now at 6 o'clock, the state police are investigating after a Hebron man's family said he died 4 days after being tased by troopers.
Yeah, the incident was caught on camera, and it shows that the tasing happened for at least a full minute. Fox 61's Angelo Bavaro is joining us in the newsroom now to break down the details and also the body cam video. Angelo.
Hey, good morning, guys. State police say the Western District Major Crime Squad is conducting that investigation into the circumstances surrounding that man's death. Police say 38-year-old Ryan Marzi was not complying with trooper commands when they were called for a domestic assault report in Canterbury back in August. State police say Marzi allegedly physically prevented that victim from leaving the home and deliberately damaged that victim's cell phone. Now, we do want to warn you, this video is difficult to watch.
There. Ooh. Ah! You broke my leg! You broke my leg! You broke my leg, dude!
This was that scene as two troopers responded to that home, Trooper Desmond Stimson and Trooper Jesse Rainville. State police say Trooper Rainville arrived on scene to find Trooper Stimson lying injured on the ground after an apparent struggle that you just heard some of. Now, you can hear that trooper say his leg is broken. Just a note, not clear in that video what led up to that apparent struggle between the trooper and that man. Police then say Marzi did not comply with verbal commands given by the troopers and started to advance towards them.
Get down. I am down.
No, get on the ground.
He broke my leg.
Get on the ground.
Oh!
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Step it out. Step it out.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Give me a hand. Give me a hand.
Stomach. Okay.
And that right there, this is part of that video that shows Trooper Rainville deploying that taser on Marzi. The sound of that taser can be heard for just over a minute. And that appears to end when Trooper Stimson tells Trooper Rainville, quote, "Enough with that." Marzi was taken into custody, medically evaluated at a hospital, and ultimately discharged and charged with several counts. 4 days later, Marzi's family says he died in his sleep at his home in Hebron. Now, guidelines by the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection say a conducted electrical weapon should, quote, be deployed for the shortest time possible, and troopers, police officers should make every reasonable effort to immediately move in to restrain that subject. The medical examiner's office says the cause of Marzi's death that is pending further examinations. Meanwhile, both the state's attorney and the office of the Inspector General have been notified. In a statement, Inspector General Robert Devlin Jr. said, quote, "At this time, the Office of the Inspector General is monitoring the Connecticut State Police investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of Mr. Marzi and is awaiting a determination of the manner and the cause of death from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner," end quote. Now, state police say the female trooper seen tasing that man is still working, but the male officer involved in that apparent struggle with Marzi is on medical leave after, in fact, breaking his leg during that interaction. State police tell us the results of the investigation will determine whether those actions were justified or not, or if this will go to an internal affairs investigation. A lot to follow with this case. We'll update you every step of the way, but for now, guys, I will send it back to you.
All right, Angelo, thanks so much. Yeah, we will stay on top of it for everybody. Well, meantime, at 6:09 to New Haven now, where attorneys for the family of Randy Cox have filed a civil lawsuit against the city and 5 officers involved in the case for $100 million. Now, this is for the incident where Cox was paralyzed while in police custody in New Haven back in June. Attorney Ben Crump said that doctors tell him the medical care necessary for Cox as a paraplegic will cost $20 to $30 million. Now, both sides acknowledge having preliminary discussions they hope will eventually lead to a settlement.
Now, if they don't want to do it, that's fine by us, because the family is resolute. They're ready to go all the way. And we believe a jury will give in excess of $100 million when they hear all the facts laid out.
I've directed the city's corporation counsel, Pat King, who is here, to work as expeditiously as possible to ensure that we have an appropriate outcome.
Remember that Attorney Crump represented the family of George Floyd in a $100 million lawsuit against the city of Minneapolis and the officers involved in that case. That suit was settled for $27 million.